Coming to the stage.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Shout out as well to Ishmael Davis as well. When I got in the ring after, I went over to the corner a couple of rounds before that and I was like, how's he feeling? I didn't want him to take any punishment in there. I felt he could beat him, but you just can't beat those levels with 2 weeks' notice for that fight, you know? So I'm very proud of Ishmael. All I want to get from Ishmael is a text message with a picture of the house he's bought. And I said to him, please either pay your mortgage off or buy a new house ASAP and send me a fucking picture of it. And then we'll go back and we'll win British titles, Commonwealth, European, and then we'll be back at world level.
Eddie said, if you're one of them amateurs and you've came through and you've got Olympic medals, it doesn't matter the colour so much. It doesn't even have to be the Olympics. If you won the World Championships or maybe the ABA finals, let's say a couple of times. But as long as you're one of the top prospects and you were sorted after when you hung up your amateur vest, you know, you sign a nice contract with the likes of Eddie Hearn, Ben Shalom or Frank Warren. The fight against Boachuk is probably a fight that your promoter ain't going to make you take that early in your career. But when you're getting it from the mud, like Ishmael, what are your options really? It looks like he's came out of there healthy, didn't take too bad a beating. His ego will obviously be hurting, him getting stopped, corner pulling him out, and Eddie didn't disclose the purse, but it must be a nice bag if Eddie's saying, yo, get that house or pay off an existing mortgage. You know, like Johnny Fisher, he was moving into a new house before this Riyadh season card, before he fought Dave Allen. And he hasn't even fought for an English title yet. But the Riyadh season is putting these fighters to the test right now. That's what it's doing. It's putting them to the test. You know, like Eddie explained with Johnny Fisher's old man, why he went off on Gareth Davis so much. This is pressure right now. This is what we're dealing with, is pressure.
Pressure, the pressure, pressure, the pressure, the pressure, pressure, the what? Pressure cooker.
Team Fisher was supposed to skate past Dave Allen with relative ease, maybe have to work out a few conundrums, and yeah, they got the W, but not in the public's opinion, not in the media's opinion.
What did you think of Big John's comments towards Gareth A. Davies, who on air, robbery and disgusting?
I think, number one, is his dad. They've never experienced anything like this before. All of a sudden, people turn on you, people switch on you. You know, you've gone from being like adored and, to you're a disgrace. You're like, your son has just put, say, his life, but his health on the line to battle through in an epic war where he showed unbelievable heart, and you're now criticising him. That's the feeling of a father. It's very personal. I thought Spencer, Oliver and Gareth, I think they went well OTT.
Did they go over the top? I think Spencer Oliver and Gareth Davis represented similar sentiments to a lot of the people who followed my live stream following the fight.
It's a robbery.
But like I say, the pressure is immense. Like, Johnny is obviously a limited fighter who's got himself in a position where he can fill out a copper box. They're talking about the O2 next, potentially, like a rematch with Dave Allen. You know, before that, they were talking about fighting the likes of Derek Chisora. They were really up for the Derek Chisora fight. That could have ended really badly. And this is all new to them. Like, there's no real amateur pedigree there to prepare them for this. They had to take Johnny for a brain scan after, because he took so many punches. He got hit in the ear, which you're hit hard enough, your equilibrium goes out of sync, and it can be a scary experience, right? People are calling this kid a hype job now. Didn't give Dave the decision. The last time we saw Dave in a fight of any significance, he quit against Fraser Clark. They were talking about putting Johnny in with Fraser Clark. Moses Atoma. And now they're thinking, well, we might have to scale this back a bit. You know, they're contemplating the Dave Allen rematch, but if Dave has a really serious camp this time, that could easily end in defeat. Easily. And as for Moses Atoma and any of the above mentioned names, even a Dillian White, even at this stage of his career, could end the gravy train quickly. Would you put Johnny Fisher in with Kubrat Pulev, who we saw win that dodgy version of the WBA belt against Manuel Charr the other week? Would you put him in there with him right now? Because it doesn't get no easier after Dave Allen. It doesn't get no easier. Yeah? You know, even the likes of Manuel Charr look like a threat to this kid right now. A big threat. He doesn't hit nowhere near as hard as what he thought he did. Or what Eddie Hearn did. So it's a scary place to be right now. And Senior panicked when he spoke to Gareth A. Davis. You could hear the panic. That's what was coming out. I didn't realize that until Eddie broke it down. This is pure panic. Because it's no longer, all right, Gareth, having a laugh, bosh, bish, bash, bosh. Because slice it and dice it which way you want, Senior. A lot of people thought the wrong man won. And they're not used to this criticism. They're not used to that. This is when the gimmicks and the slogans, the bosh and prawn balls, special fried rice with curry sauce banter has to make way for real boxing talk. Real boxing talk.
You start to sweat and fret. It gets hot. How'd you get into this spot?
The promoters will send their fighters out there because of the bags on offer at Riyadh. So Eddie's probably thinking, you know something? We're going to slow this Johnny Fisher thing up right now. We need to slow it up. But then when he hooks up with Turkey, with Frank, or Frank's son, Francis, and they're discussing the new 5 versus 5, and Turkey suggests, yeah, we're going to put Johnny Fisher in with David Adelaide. That's another name they were discussing. You know what I mean? Because the way Turkey sees it, Johnny had his layup. His layup was supposed to be Dave Allen, and he made heavy work of it. Either that or get back to the copper box and start building again. You know what I mean? See, the thing is, you know, it's easy for people to say, yeah, we're going to go down a level and you'll be okay. But here's the thing, though, right? The copper box is an 8,000-seater arena. Is the Johnny Fisher fan base going to turn up in numbers to watch him fight the same level of opponent he was facing before Dave Allen? I might have to go back to the York Hall. And I'm not sure if Johnny wants to go back to the York Hall now he's had a taste of the big time. That's what a lot of people don't factor in. You know, like, it's all well and good saying, yeah, we need to slow it down and drop him down a level. Once you get a taste, it's like hurricane it. Not that I know. I'm not a hurricane, but I know the routine. You get a taste of the crack, and now you're chasing the hit. And it's very competitive, you know. You're watching your rivals. You don't want to get left out. You don't want to tell Eddie, no, I can't fight David Adelaide. You don't want to tell Turkey that, just in case you get left too far behind. So often in these situations, the boxer is left with a decision. Do I try to prove to Eddie Hearn and Turkey Al-Sheikh and the media that I am ready for the big boys? Or do I jump down a level, perhaps even get off Matchroom? If you really want to develop your craft, you might have to get off Matchroom. Campbell Hatton, for instance. If he's really serious about boxing, we're going to see, because Eddie said, look, after 2 fights, losing fights for the English title at 135, he's kind of failed the trial, hasn't he? He's failed the trial. So right now, if he wants to continue, he's got to be looking at small hall boxing. Fortunately for someone like Campbell or even Johnny Fisher, they don't have to necessarily stay on Matchroom, at least for the short term. They can go on GBM, who are on DAZN. They can go on huge promotions up in Essex or top tier in Essex, who, if they're not on DAZN, they're on YouTube. It's not like back in the day where your visibility is totally eclipsed. This is the internet, social media era. And if you can make the improvements, you can find yourself back on Matchroom, or maybe Boxer, or Queensbury, DAZN, etc. But it depends how much you want it. And let's keep it real. Once Eddie Hearn drops you, Frank Warren drops you, you're going to need a whole load of resilience to carry on. Can be done. Depends how much you want it. I actually think the Boychuk loss could be the making of Ishmael Davis. Could be. He's already beaten the likes of Troy Williamson. In my opinion, he should have got a draw with Josh Kelly. So he's proven that he's British championship level / European-ish level, fringe world level. Josh Kelly was ranked. And I think now Matchroom can go about developing him without making him take unnecessary risks and put the matchmaking process into place for him that gives him all the chances possible of succeeding. Dave Allen bought himself another lifeline. Does he get the rematch against Fisher? Eddie Hearn spoke about getting him another fight on the strength of his performance. His last 2 fights before Johnny Fisher were on small hall shows against opponents with woeful losing records. But one thing about Dave Allen, he ain't no mug. Post-fight, he said, Moses Itoma is too good for me. He's not going to go in there and get his brains spilled over the canvas for a fight he knows he hasn't got much chance in, and he's been used as a stepping stone. But he'll take the Johnny Fisher rematch in a second, I'm sure of that. What's the other cases of damage limitations where fighters will have to go through the painstaking process of being rebuilt? You got Ben Whittaker, who done a long period of radio silence after his technical draw with Liam Cameron. And the way Ben Shalom is handling it, I'm not that impressed. There's been talks with Frank Warren's people about a rematch with Liam Cameron, and Ben Shalom is talking as long as they're sensible, meaning he's still trying to play Ben Whittaker as the A-side. Really, truly, you need to do everything you can to get Whittaker and Cameron in the ring and see if Whittaker can right the wrong. He's not a kid no more. Fraser Clark, I heard he'll be back around April after his horror story of a fight with Fabio Wardley. Across the pond, you've got Jared Anderson after getting annihilated by Martin Bacoli. Whittaker, Clark and Anderson haven't been to the top of the mountain, unlike Wilder, Fury and AJ, who have. Who will they fight 2025? With all 3 former champions up until this year, with Tyson Fury, have seen their stock
plummet.
Perhaps Daniel Dubois can surpass his fellow Brits, Tyson Fury and AJ, and snatch them other 3 straps. Whether he's got to go through Usyk or whoever else has got them straps.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Contentious decisions this year, bad decisions this year. Conor Walker versus Lee Crocker. They gave Lee Crocker a UD in a fight that I thought Conor Walker won. Some may say that Matchroom have been trying to preserve this Lee Crocker Paddy Donovan fight, which I believe happens 2025 for the longest, all Irish showdown. What about Nick Bull versus Ray Ford? Nick took Ray's WBA featherweight title in the 5 versus 5. Ford was a little hard done by. Cameron Vung versus Gavin Gwynn. I mean, they gave Vung a unanimous decision when he was clearly outpunched and outlanded. Bad decision, in my opinion. Hopefully, Gwynn will get a second chance at it. Vung looked a little out of his depth, like a fish out of water. The more experienced Gwynn paced the fight way better. Wasn't a very popular decision with the crowd either. Vung, the house fighter, his promoter Eddie Hearn thought Gavin Gwynn nicked it. Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen. Split decision in Johnny Fisher's favour. Dave Allen floored Johnny in the 5th round and didn't seem to look back after that. The decision was unpopular amongst the crowd. Eddie Hearn once again thought the away fighter nicked it. Beterbiev versus Bivol, another Riyadh season banger, undisputed at 175. Beterbiev eked out a split decision, but they do it again in February. It was close. I don't think nobody's unhappy about getting that headlining a supercard in Riyadh in February, has to be said. In saying that, I thought Bivol won. I wouldn't say this was controversial, I think it was more contentious. William Skull won the vacant IBF 168-pound title in Germany. He was the house fighter, defeating Vladimir Shishkin. Unanimous decision. Salita Promotions, who handle Shishkin's affairs, they're looking to get a rematch at some stage. It depends what you prefer. Skull's more technical counter-punching, or the industry and more workmanlike approach from Shishkin. On that Terence Crawford Madrimov undercard, it seems like me and some of my subscribers who were in a chat on my Hangout, we seem like the only ones who felt that Morel versus Kaladzik was a lot more closer than the UD that Morel got. Morel's WBA light heavyweight title was at stake. Looked like he was getting a boxing lesson to me, though.
It's a robbery.
I bet they make it close. The scorecard's going to be close. They're not going to rob him, though. It'll be too blatant. You know what I mean? Sean had his number tonight, man. Had his number. Split decision. What a robbery. That's one of the worst robberies I've seen in a boxing ring ever. What a robbery. And JB said they're going to rob McComb. Now your comment becomes the most relevant comment. I can't believe this. Horrible. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Whoever's responsible for scoring that fight, 97-93, and even the other judge who had it closer, you're messing with this kid's career. McComb, 6 foot plus southpaw from Belfast in Northern Ireland, went over to the MSG and thoroughly outboxed the favourite, Barbosa. Thoroughly. McComb dropped his hands, used his reflexes, good upper body and head movement, and Barbosa couldn't catch him. He caught him a few times in the last and a few times throughout, but he couldn't catch him. The foot speed gap, heavily in McComb's favour. The hand speed gap, heavily in McComb's favour. The jab, heavily in McComb's favour. How are you going to give slow-footed Arnold the fight? And I'm not going to have a go at Arnold. He tried his hardest, but he was plodding in there. He couldn't get nowhere near to Sean McComb. And they robbed the guy. To be honest, it ruined the evening for me. It ruined the evening. It was such a bad decision. On a big stage like this, one of the biggest nights in boxing, you'd actually have the gall to blatantly score the fight for the wrong man like that. I didn't know much about Sean McComb. I'm not sure if I've seen him box before, but I was really enjoying his boxing. Really enjoying his boxing. He doesn't have no power, so to speak, but if you're talking about punching, moving, and defense, beautiful display. A beautiful display of boxing. And wasn't rewarded for his skill. And when the decision came, in fact, before the decision came, when they said split decision, I was stunned. That's all I can say. Horrible decision.
It's a robbery.
When you're looking at KT Taylor Serrano 2, it was a good fight. Very good fight. Neither woman would concede an inch if they didn't have to. But once Serrano was cut, and it was through head clashes, and KT was the guilty party for the Billy Goat tactics, no doubt. They weren't blatant headbutts, but her head is always in position to hit yours, and a lot of that is because she comes forward as well. Amanda's work did become a bit ragged. She wasn't as accurate as we see her normally. There was a cut on the forehead midway through the fight, and it seemed to throw her off a little. Katie was deducted a point in the 8th, I believe. But unless they disqualify Katie Taylor for illegal usage of the head, you've got to score the fight for what happens in the ring. Whether or not Amanda was affected, her work was affected, the quality of her work was affected due to the butts, the rounds still have to go to Katie Taylor. All you can do is count the deductions for the headbutt, and if the headbutts are out of control, disqualify her. But you can't just score rounds to Amanda Serrano because you're angry at Katie Taylor. Could they have a third fight? I think a third fight could be justified, in all truth. I don't think Amanda would beat her, though. I think Katie would still beat her. It was very close, though. It was very close. And this is just my opinion. Amanda's style is a little robotic, and Katie outworks her. 4 out of 5 fights. Head clashes or not. When you fight Katie Taylor, it's going to be physical. It's going to be a physical fight. I'm not the biggest fan of Katie Taylor's style per se, but she probably did outwork her, but my bias would deduct a couple of style points away from Katie. Very close. They want to make the third fight 12-3s. That would be interesting. I'm not sure if it works in Amanda Serrano's favour. I know she's been challenging the status quo to make her fights 3-minute rounds. I don't know if it benefits her. Amanda needs to stop Katie in the first half of the fight. Katie Taylor is not the prettiest to watch, but she's very consistent. That's her strength. That's where she gets you. It's the consistency. Amanda definitely has the better looking punches that are easier to score when you see them. She landed that left hand down the pipe a little too late in the round, in the first round. But like I said, she's a little robotic. She walks into Katie's right hands, and Katie's hand speed, as well as the head clashes, makes it hard for Serrano to outpoint Katie. I don't think Katie Taylor gets enough credit for the amount of traps she sets for her opponents either. She sets a lot of traps off that back foot and gets off with her flurries. Probably don't get as much credit for the good work she does in there. People remember the head clashes, which is fair enough. Controversial fight, but a very good fight. One of the best fights of the year, as was their first fight in 2022.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
All right, let's bring welcoming to the stage.
Something like this. Hit it!